All right, I've got top of the hour. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's webinar. This is the July installment of the Blatchford Prosthetic Product Showcase webinar. As a reminder, these happen every month. They tend to happen on the third Thursday of the month. This one's a little bit different, but usually it's the third Thursday of the month at 2 o'clock Eastern. So keep an eye out for future webinars. Again, thank you for joining. I like to scroll down the list as people are joining, and it's fun to see a lot of names that I recognize on the attendee list. So thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy the webinar today. But before we get going, I'd like to go through a couple of ground rules. First, everything is on mute. Everybody's on mute, and that just helps everybody's experience. There's no barking dogs in the background or anything. It is being recorded. So this webinar will be on our website at blatchfordmobility.com. You can find it there. You can also find all of our past webinars on there. Those webinars will be, this webinar in particular will be added to that website. But you can find all of our past ones, whether it be over our Retectus or Links or Orion. Any of our webinars will be listed on there. You can go back and watch them. However, if you go back and watch them not live, so if you watch them on our website, there is no credit for those. That's good information, of course, but no CEU credits. There will be a question or a question answer panel you find it down at the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on how your Zoom is set up. That's where you'll ask the questions. What I encourage you to do is just type in a question. I will be watching the question panel and looking for any questions that pop up and interrupting and answering those questions as we go along. We don't have the ability to turn on your mic, so if you could just answer or ask those questions in the Q&A panel. At the end of the quiz, there will be a QR code that you can scan to be able to, at the end of the webinar, rather, there's a QR code at the end to be able to scan to be able to get the quiz. That quiz will be due on Monday, July 8th. Normally I give you a week, but that's going to be on July 4th. And so I'm going to give you a couple days after that to get it done by Monday, July 8th. That's when we will turn it into ABC. It will be for ABC credits. If you need to submit a certificate or something for your state licensure or your BOC, you can email me at mike.magee@blatchfordus.com. You can register for future webinars down there at blatchfordmobility.com as well. So I'd like to introduce myself. As I said, my name is Mike Magee. I am the Global Education Manager and Senior Prosthetist. That's my QR code. Feel free to scan it. That's got my information on it. It'll also give you an opportunity to share your contact information back. So if you'd like for me to have your phone number or email, feel free to do that. And I will get a notification that you've shared your contact. So feel free to do that. And we've got Chad O'Connor is going to be doing the bulk of the presentation today. Chad, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Chad O'Connor, Regional Clinical Specialist, covering primarily Colorado over through the upper Midwest, but obviously travel all around the country, helping you guys out, teaching courses. Been with Blatchford for about 4.5 years and in the field for almost 20 years now.
Thanks, Chad. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and start the webinar today. Again, today's webinar is going to be about our waterproof products, and you're going to hear about what waterproof means. There's all kinds of different definitions for that, and Chad's going to talk about that. But we're specifically talking about products that we don't care if you get wet. So without further ado, Chad, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mike. Yeah, as Mike said, this is waterproof products that Blatchford, some of the ones that we offer, and kind of talk about the functions and features of these products. We're going to discover the unique solutions we have for your patients. We kind of identify what waterproof means and learn the unique features of each of these products. So what do we mean by waterproof? We truly mean that your patients can now go about their daily life without having to worry about their water encounters throughout the day, right? They want to be able to live their life and not worry about that. If they're washing the car, they don't have to worry about getting their leg wet. If they're out kayaking, they don't have to worry about the leg getting splashed. Or they're here in this picture walking across the creek. You don't have to worry about that if they're out hiking and so forth. So truly just getting the patients the freedom again to live their life how they want to live it. So let's look at some of our products. We're going to kind of got it into 4 different categories. We have our non-hydraulic feet. We have our hydraulic ankles. And then we're going to talk a couple of knees we have. And then some specialty products. So moving into non-hydraulic feet right off the bat here, we have our real dynamic, simple, lightweight, Elite Series feet. They are just a great all-around foot. They can be used for sports activities. They can be used for just everyday walking, or can still get out and go for a run, play basketball, all sorts of activities. And most of these ones are waterproof. So let's look into the specifics. It is designed and engineered with excellent ground compliance. So we inversion, eversion, split toe. We have this tripod stability, which provides some great shock absorption, but also good ground compliance. We have this E-carbon, so it's a proprietary blend, carbon fiber and some other materials, blended to have very good flexibility, but also very good energy storing properties to provide that propulsion and spring effect. And it's very natural motion. It is a very a high weight limit, so 365 pounds on these feet, and our waterproof versions, fully submersible, no issues there. So let's start with our first one, the Esprit. It is designed for our low profile patients with long limbs, or you have other components up above that limit the height of the foot you can provide underneath. As I said earlier, it has the E-carbon springs. We have that tripod design as well, and offered in the sandal toe. So you can wear your sandals, getting wet, going through water. Here's a great video showing that tripod, what we mean by tripod design. So you can see we have the 2 toe springs and then the heel spring. And with that, you get great ground compliance, side hills, or I think of it also even just the unevenness of the terrain. If you step on a rock and part of the foot hits the rock, these toe springs is going to absorb that versus pushing the patient left or right, providing that great stability. Then we go into kind of the next level as far as height goes, and the Elite 2. I've had patients on this foot that, it doesn't add that much more height, but it provides a little bit more of that start to begin that J-spring kind of shape, where you get even more flex. And then we have a heel spring, kind of a U-shaped heel spring that really provides up to 11 millimeters of vertical compliance in that heel spring. And then the toe spring providing great ground compliance, and overall propulsion forward. Like I said, I had a bilateral patient one time that used to play a lot of basketball, and I've had him on posterior mount feet before, and I switched him to this, and he could actually dunk the basketball better with these due to the flex that he was getting from the toes and the propulsion forward and up with it. It was a surprise to me when he came into my office today. You know what? These feet I can actually dunk better than these other ones I had before. And originally I fit those just because I needed a shorter foot under him. And it was, like I said, a surprise when he came back to me saying that he could actually play basketball better with this foot. So once again, that tripod system, great ground compliance, good energy storing properties of those springs. Now we go to the next kind of level up, and just working our way up the body. We have the Elite Blade. Has the same properties of that Elite 2 with the U-shaped heel and the springs, but now we get that dynamic pylon. So you can see how much flex as this person starts from a walk and then start running, where they're now now really loading that toe, and you can see that flex of that dynamic pylon really provides great propulsion and great energy storing properties. I know a lot of people on this foot that they might travel a lot, they might have to walk through airports a lot. This is a great foot for everyday walking, but when they get to a hotel room and they want to jump on a treadmill, they can do that without changing their feet. And you don't have to carry around a different sport specific foot. So great possibility with that. So as I said, it has the tripod design as well, the sandal toe, but now those toes are one continuous carbon spring all the way up to the proximal attachment on the top. And it comes with a male pyramid or a female pyramid top. And both of those have about 15 millimeters of AP slide in that proximal adapter, just like a lot of our knees, the Lynx and Orion have that slide adapter. It's the same adapter, so you can really kind of fine tune the AP placement. And you get that good vertical compliance of the vertical shock, that heel, that U-shaped heel spring, also providing 11 millimeters of vertical compliance. Then let's go into kind of the next one, the Blade XT. If you haven't seen this one, this is an incredible foot that I've got people that go do Tough Mudders on this. They some of them will still have it as their everyday foot. It's a great kind of jogging, running foot, all terrain, mud. You can go in all sorts of things. But having a full heel, essentially a foot plate underneath, provides this great balance. So you have the standing balance and standing support of having a heel, but with the benefits of essentially a running blade foot. And once again, that proximal adapter also can be slid, have an AP slide on that. It has an integrated tread in it, so you don't wear any shoe or anything with this. But as I said, great for all sorts of terrain where you're going to be out in the water, mud, and so forth. Got some people that do the American Ninja Warrior on this foot. Other ones that climb all over the world and climb mountains with this particular foot, and it holds up well in all environments. So as I already said, the unique heel spring, got that traction sole, good all-around foot. So ideal for running, walking. As I said, I've got people that use it still for their everyday leg. And then you have good balance with that full foot plate underneath. So great for bilateral patients. And you can see the picture here. Those are the mini Blade XT. So for kids or smaller adults. And then we have the full-size Blade XT in the top corner. So kind of a review of these non-hydraulic feet and elite feet here. We've got the Blade XT and the Elite Blade, or the Elite 2. Patients that want to use this prosthesis for everyday walking, but also want to get out and do it for high impact running or sports. Good all-around foot. Then the Elite Blade it's great for the patients that has the short to mid-length limb, and you want to really maximize the dynamics with the slim profile and then the vertical carbon pylon, really providing a great propulsion and flex forward. And then the Esprit, as I said, for the long residual limb, or when additional components are required. And all of these have a great split keel design, great ground compliance. And once again, waterproof, and you don't have to worry about what type of environment you're going to encounter. So moving into our hydraulics, we do have the most studied and versatile range of hydraulic ankle feet. So here you can see there's 8 here on this slide. We actually have 9 if you count the Lynx ankle as well. Not all of these are waterproof. And so we're going to talk about the waterproof hydraulic ankles. And we have the Echelon ER, the Avalon, and the Elon IC are all waterproof ones in that range. So hydraulic ankles, they are smoother, safer, and more natural. And that's backed up by research. As I said, we've came out with the first hydraulic ankle back in 2009. And since then, a lot of studies have happened showing the benefits of this. So our ankles are anatomically designed really to let you navigate all sorts of terrain with the less effort. Hydraulics absorb the shock. I've seen it where it really reduces the pressures in the socket. But then now that we're starting to see osseointegration a little bit more common now, a lot of patients are fit with our hydraulic ankles because of that shock absorption and the stress, the less stress that's applied through the implant, really decreasing pain and discomfort. And really walking with less effort, more natural, and overall reduces a risk of trips and falls. So key benefits, once again, it's anatomically designed. Our pivot point on our ankles are specifically put to truly balance on a fulcrum, providing the optimal range of motion for both dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and providing a great stability overall. They absorb the shock through the socket, just like muscles work. And it makes it possible with less effort, more natural, and overall reducing risks of trips and falls. I always think of it kind of as a partnership between carbon fiber and hydraulics is how our hydraulic ankles are designed. So we have high resistance hydraulics will provide great shock or great propulsion because it's going to load the carbon spring more. And then low resistance in the hydraulics, you get good shock absorption, but you're not loading the carbon spring as much. So therefore, you're not getting as much energy return. So it's the two of those working together. And when you add in the microprocessor of the Elon into that, you're now going to fine tune and optimize depending on the scenario and the environment that you're in, because the ankle will adapt specifically to those environments and show and make the adjustments to either provide more carbon involvement so you get more spring or more shock absorption, depending on the situation. Truly designed, we call it biomimetic, really mimicking the human body and the musculature. A lot of times I think of the loading the carbon spring as the concentric muscle contraction of the ankle. And then the low hydraulic resistance is going to be more like your eccentric muscle contraction. And it's the two of those working together, truly mimicking how the human ankle works. So as I said, you have this range of motion, and it's a balancing act. You've got the carbon involved and the hydraulics. If you had all carbon, good energy return, but you don't have good compliance or shock absorption. If you have all hydraulics, you've got good shock absorption, but you don't have as much energy return that you could have. So it's the two working together, optimizing it. So the combined hydraulic and carbon fiber deflection equals a 33 degrees range of motion. Most of our hydraulic ankles have 6 degrees of plantar flexion and 3 degrees of dorsiflexion for the hydraulics. But then you add in the carbon deflection and you're getting a total of 33 degrees. So the standard Echelon, as I said, has the 6 degrees of plantar flexion and 3 degrees of dorsiflexion in the hydraulics. And then the carbon deflects on top of that, really mimicking how the lower limb muscles work. dampening that energy and the absorption of that springs, excuse me, allowing to really walk more comfortably and adapting to the terrain. So it is built on the tripod system, just like the feet I was talking about earlier. You still have that tripod design, so you're getting great ML compliance, side-to-side compliance, but then you're adding in that articulation of the hydraulic ankle. And as I said before, that pivot point is anatomically aligned with the anatomical ankle pivot point. So therefore, you're really mimicking the human body and having that balancing act of dorsiflexion and plantar flexion together. Now, our Echelon ER, it's one of our newer hydraulic ankles. It stands for the extended range. So this one, we actually have 25 degrees of hydraulic range of motion, plus the same deflection in the carbon. And with that, you're getting now 6 degrees of dorsiflexion and 19 degrees of plantar flexion. It's an incredible amount of range of motion for a mechanical hydraulic ankle that truly balances on that fulcrum. So we're able to have that 6 degrees of dorsiflexion because that pivot point is specifically aligned in the proper place, and you're balancing on that and providing this great range of motion through the step. So really what that extra hydraulic range of motion does is it provides even better ground compliance going down steep slopes and also changing footwear, and actually helps patients go uphills better, also helps going upstairs easier because of that added dorsiflexion. So once again, 25 degrees of hydraulic range. You can go from barefoot walking to changing shoes up to a 2-inch heels. So just the comparison here, standard Echelon, 9 degrees of hydraulic range. So 3 in Dorsey, 6 in plantar. That Echelon ER, which is the extended range, is 25 degrees with 6 degrees dorsiflexion and 19 degrees of plantar flexion. So here you can see the change in heel heights. You can go from a flat soled shoe all the way up to 2-inch heels without an issue. And it self-aligns. There's no buttons you have to push. And you have to do down at the ankle. It's going to self-align to those. What else does that range of motion allow? Well, it improves sitting comfort. It improves the sit to stand and the changes in footwear. So you can see here, he's able to take his shoes off, stand up, it self-aligns, and then walk barefoot without an issue. The sitting comfort, I used to always think that was more of a cosmetic thing, but it decreases pressure within the socket. Or it also, from feedback from patients, is that they're able to relax their leg when they're sitting. So think of like sitting in on an airplane, and if you're balancing where just the heel is touching the floor, you have to tighten the inner thigh to help keep that foot rotated in and not rotating out where it gets in the way of the drink cart. With this, the foot plantar flexes, and now you have the entire foot on the floor, and they can relax their leg, and it's going to stay there. And so it decreases overall socket pressures, but it also minimizes the amount of muscle that you have to use just for sitting. Now, slope accommodations. So I already talked about the hydraulic ankles adapt to slopes, and it naturally adapts to the hydraulics. With the Echelon ER, you can see this person's able to take even a longer step with the prosthetic side and let the hydraulic ankle absorb and slow them down going down that slope. And then going up a hill, that extra 6 degrees of dorsiflexion really helps improve ground clearance, toe clearance, and less hip hiking that has to happen going up the hill, thereby using less energy and less body compensations. So here's some of the evidence that's out there for hydraulic ankles. As I said, we are the most studied hydraulic ankle on the market, and so a lot of the research has been done independently on our ankles. So as I said, we have a decreased socket pressures by 81% and the loading rate by 87%. So loading rate is how quickly is that pressure applied. So decreasing how quickly that pressure is applied in the socket decreases the stresses inside the socket, decreases the hot spots in the socket or on the residual limb. It prevents potential ulcers from happening and pressure points. The other thing that is incredible is that we have an increased walking speed of 7% increase. You think about having that dorsiflexion in there, people are able to take a longer step using less energy, covering the same amount of distance overall faster. And then the balanced limb loading. It's proven that the hydraulic ankles actually provide support more loading of the prosthetic side and less loading of the sound side. So we're now shifting the weight over onto the prosthetic side, and it decreases hip pain, back pain, and overall just more comfortable and a more symmetrical gait. And then we have an increased toe clearance. Because that toe stays up through swing phase, we get an increase of 18% in toe clearance. So minimizing those trips and falls through swing phase. So that's the Echelon. We have the Avalon is a great K2 hydraulic ankle foot that some people will also use it for kind of their preparatory leg for a new amputee. And then they'll turn that leg into the patient's shower leg or water leg when they're due for a new prosthesis. So it's a great option for helping patients get back up on their feet or brand new amputees, maybe that upper K2 level. And then as they progress and now they're K3, get them into a standard Echelon. And now the Avalon, because it's waterproof, that is now their water leg. And it's a dedicated leg for just the water activities or showering. So hydraulic ankle technology provides that perfectly aligned and efficient rollover. We have that shorter keel, really that is designed specifically for the K2 patients, because that population typically is taking shorter step lengths. They're not quite loading the toe as much. And so having that shorter keel provides an easier and smooth rollover using less effort overall. And then with the increased range of motion, you've got an improved sit to stand safety. So patients can now get their body weight up over their foot before standing, and it helps them stand up out of the chair with less effort. Once again, the increased toe clearance, the standard Avalon actually has 6 degrees of dorsiflexion. So you get even more toe clearance, similar to the Echelon ER. And then the increased shock absorption, once again, decreasing pressures within the socket, decreasing injuries to the residual limb. So that's the K2 feet. Now, I kind of briefly mentioned the Elon IC, right? About the microprocessor technology, truly unique in adapting the resistances. So the Elon IC is our waterproof microprocessor ankle, IP67 rated to truly let patients do all the activity they want to do. And the inductive charging, so it's a magnetic charger, so it's a fully sealed system, no chance of any sand or water or anything getting in, changing it. So this quote, like getting your ankle back, truly I've had multiple patients that's exactly what they have said when they first tried it on. It's because it truly is mimicking how the anatomical ankle works. So the benefits, the key benefits here is, it is the microprocessor that adjusts resistance to speed, terrain, and overall improving that symmetry and balance. So it detects when you're standing still, it detects for ramps and hills, and it will adapt those hydraulic resistances. So when you stop walking, it actually ramps up that resistance, both the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, ramping it up, giving great support. And that's why it's also a great foot for bilateral patients, because it adapts to terrain well, but when you stop walking, it stiffens up, giving them support. It is the most compact and light microprocessor feet. So what do we have? We have microprocessor control. And with that, it's constantly monitoring and adapts resistance to the speed and the terrain. It doesn't matter about the range of motion if the resistance isn't accurate. So this truly adapts the resistance depending on the terrain. So uniquely, it assists people going up slopes. It brakes going down slopes, and it overall improves that symmetry and reduces energy expenditure. So self-aligns to the ground, so it's very quick in adapting to the terrain. It reduces those socket pressures, just like the hydraulic ankles do without microprocessor. But the microprocessor adjusts to that speed and terrain. So standing support, as I said, it detects when you are standing still. It ramps up the resistance to give support, thereby providing great support for bilateral patients. And then once again, it is the most compact and light microprocessor foot on the market, with now inductive charging. So there's no plugs or pins that could get bent. It just is a magnet that sticks on the back and charges. So we know that not all terrain is flat, right? There is hills, ramps, even just a parking lot is going to have some uneven terrain, a curve you might have to navigate. So what happens when we encounter those different situations and those different environments? Well, it senses if you're going uphill or downhill, or if you're on flat ground, and Elon will make changes accordingly. Once again, I said kind of that partnership of the carbon fiber and the hydraulics working together. This is how that does that. So going down a slope, first thing that happens, that ankle recognizes you're going down a slope. So it decreases plantar flexion resistance. So you get to foot flat faster. And then it increases dorsiflexion resistance, thereby giving a braking effect or a control going down the slope. What's interesting is patients actually walk down hills faster with the Elon, typically, but yet they're in better control because they're actually able to load the prosthetic side more because they have that support from the braking mechanism of that increased dorsiflexion in resistance. Now going up a hill, it does the opposite. It increases plantar flexion resistance, which actually loads the carbon heel more. So you get more propulsion and more spring out of the heel, propelling the person forward over midfoot. And then the dorsiflexion resistance decreases, thereby making it easier and less effort to climb that hill and get over the forefoot and over the toes. And then on flat level ground, if you start walking faster than your normal pace, it recognizes that with the accelerometer built in that ankle, that it's going to make changes very similar to the uphill resistance, where it increases plantar flexion resistance. So you get more spring out of the heel. Then it decreases dorsiflexion resistance, thereby making it easier to walk faster with less effort. And then standing support. Once again, when you stop walking, it increases plantar flexion resistance, and increases dorsiflexion resistance, thereby giving great support to, and that will happen on any terrain. If you're standing on a slope, it's going to adapt to that slope and then increase that resistance, giving that support. Now the Elan can be programmed with Android tablet or phone, or still the PC. I haven't used the PC programming in quite a while because the tablet is just so simple. Everything is on that one screen, very easy to connect with the tablet, and then go through the programming, and you can program one of these in less than 30 seconds, excuse me, if the alignment is correct, and then it's very fast and simple to calibrate and program. So with the tablet, you actually just kind of work your way from the top. You'll see that vector line. You'll adjust the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion resistances. And then once you're happy with the alignment, how it's walking, you can just press start walk, and it calibrates in 7 steps. So in summary, the microprocessor adjusts resistance to speed and terrain, improving the symmetry and balance. It also detects when you're standing still and ramps up that resistance to support you. And it's great for that bilateral user, as I said, because of that support. What's great about the fact that it ramps up the resistance, but it's not a hard mechanical lock, is you actually get some postural sway. Everybody has postural sway. And when somebody has that with a rigid foot, what happens is you end up swaying, kind of moving a little bit, and your body weight shifts. Now you load that carbon spring, and what happens? That carbon spring tries to push you back the other way. So you're constantly going, bouncing around. But if you, with a hydraulic ankle that increases resistance, it allows some of that absorption. So it's not actually loading that carbon spring. So therefore, you're not getting that pushback in the opposite direction. So it actually provides better balance overall because of that. Once again, it is the most compact and lightweight. We have inductive charge, so you don't have to worry about any plugs or pins. Very simple to use with that magnet on the back. And then IP67 waterproof protection, just giving them the freedom to live their life and not worry about what type of terrain they're getting into that day. All right, so that covers most of our feet that are waterproof. We're going to go into the knees, the KX07, and the Orion 3. Starting with the Orion 3, excuse me, starting with the KX07. It is a robust design that came from our old KX06, but made even more robust. This knee works for patients that they want to be out in a tough mudder. They want to be out doing all sorts of things. And it also allows patients too that just want to get it back and walk. I've had it on patients that their goal is just to be able to walk their dogs. And I've had on patients that want to go climb Denali in Alaska. And it's works for that wide range of patients. Now let's talk about what some of these new robust features are. So we actually reduced the number of pivots overall, making it more robust because of that. And then one of the big things is we made self-aligning bearings. So these patients that are in those very stressful and high active environments, it puts a lot of load through the frame. And if there's any little bit of torque in that frame, those bearings are actually going to absorb that and not translate that force into the piston and into the cylinder. So it actually made everything more durable because of those self-aligning bearings. It is able to absorb those stresses and that force being applied into that frame, absorb it and not put it into the cylinder. The KX07 is, so you can see the polycentric design there, but it's polycentric and has a hydraulic cylinder in there. So it's a yielding resistance. So you can actually take this step over step downstairs, ride the hydraulics down steep hills and ramps, but then you also have that safety, inherent geometry safety built in to that polycentric design. The latch just prevents self-adjustment. It kind of helps lock those adjustments into place. We strengthen the rear bearings, so once again, just making it more durable and stronger overall. We were able to shorten the whole frame a little bit more with this new design too. And now we have a new cover that adds additional protection. You don't have to have that cover on, but it's a great way to kind of keep mud and stuff from getting in there into the frame, easier to clean it overall because of that. And then it is waterproof. Well, the knee is locked. So we actually have two user modes, a cycling mode and a lock mode with this. It is fully waterproof in when it is locked in full extension. So what can you do with it? Really just all sorts of things. You got people that ride dirt bikes with it, mountain bikes, out there paddle boarding, all those types of things. And then also just people that want to get out and walk their dogs. So that's our mechanical polycentric hydraulic knee, a truly unique knee that has both polycentric design with a yielding stance resistance. Now going into our microprocessor knee of the Orion 3. We put in a new IP rating that truly took it in terms of taking water jets and applying that pressure from all angles. And then we put in some drain holes that really allow that water to drain completely out. So there's no risk of water collecting and just staying inside and corroding or causing damage to the internal mechanisms and the internal components. So we put it, we're able to improve the overall components in there and just really making them stronger and more durable to any water being hit from all angles. And you can see how that water can just drain out of those holes and no worry about water just staying and collecting there. So what can you do? What is that? As I said earlier, it gives the freedom of our patients to get out there and just live their life without worrying about getting splashed by water. So kayaking, you're out there on the trail, mountain biking or something, and just water hitting it, don't have to worry about it. Or washing your car. Just, once again, doing all the activities throughout the day and not have to worry about second guessing where you are in the environment you're in. So what are some of the key features of the Orion 3? We have supportive hydraulic resistance during normal gait. So it's a controlled stance support, and then it releases immediately before swing phase, providing that optimal safety throughout stance, walking with greater safety and less effort on all terrain. We have a new and improved stance flexion, and I always like to mention this because it's the way that it operates, it's what it is truly made for in this knee is actually more, I think of it as a braking effect. People that really want to slow down and stop with their leg, their prosthetic side, right? You can plant your foot, and if you're going down a steep slope or anything like that, and it recognizes a rapid flexion moment happening, it's going to increase resistance even higher, and it provides even greater support for patients so they can truly just really load their prosthetic side. Let the prosthetic leg take the work, take the brunt of the force, right? And get them to stop even quicker and with less effort, and taking pressure and things away from your sound side. So our whole goal of a microprocessor knee oftentimes is to take the pressure off of the sound side. let the prosthetic leg do the work and take the brunt of things, right? So this new stance flexion feature truly allows that prosthetic knee to even take more of the work. So a unique feature with the Orion and the Lynx, for that matter, is the dynamic slope and stair descent. So as that knee is flexing, going downstairs, it starts off at a high resistance, but then it increases that resistance. It gives good support going down stairs. So it allows patients to shift their body weight more onto the prosthetic side, having a more balanced limb loading, taking the pressure off the sound side, giving them more support and control going downstairs confidently. And then we have standing support. It's going to lock in full extension, or even if the knee is flexed. So here you can see she flexes the knee a little bit and then it locks, so you can have true support and balance on both legs. And you can change the sensitivity of that so it doesn't, you can delay it so it doesn't kick on as fast. Most people like it to kick on really fast, but there are ways to decrease that sensitivity. And then with that, we also have enhanced stumble recovery. So here she catches her toe, and you can see it starts off at a high resistance, but then it ramps up resistance even higher, giving just the optimal and most support possible for patients to then get their sound side in front of them to prevent a fall. And then supported sitting, the same thing. As that knee is flexing and that they're sitting into the chair, the lever arm is actually increasing. So what do? We actually have the knee increase resistance to give more support for the increased lever arm, thereby providing good safety and confidence while sitting in the chair. So it really does encourage that balanced limb loading while lowering into the chair, keeping your hands free for not having to reach back for the chair, just giving that good support overall and not dropping into the chair, just giving a good controlled descent into the chair. Then during swing phase, the Orion 3 provides that optimal release timing. So it's going to release at the last second and right when you need it to release. And then we have a unique pneumatic cylinder that kicks in and adapts to the speed and will kick that foot out even faster. So really helping truly a microprocessor controlled swing, because it will control how much pneumatics and how much push there's happening in the knee to extend the knee into extension during swing phase. So once again, optimal stance release, it's going to release that resistance at the last part of stance for optimal security, easy initiation of swing. There is no mechanical spring to overcome. So a lot of other knees, I've had patients, specifically osseointegration patients, that will feel the switch from heel rise to the beginning part of a swing, and they can actually feel that mechanical spring. This doesn't have a mechanical spring, so it's very smooth. It's a smooth transition from hydraulics to pneumatics, allowing the knee to flex even at lower speeds, but then keep up with them during fast speeds. So heel rise control, it's a new feature where I think of it as if somebody's walking slow and then they immediately go into almost a sprint. There it used to be 1 or 2 steps where that heel kind of legs a little bit and you'll have excessive heel rise. Now this actually recognizes that and applies even more resistance, preventing that heel rise from being excessive, and really kicking that leg out and helping them go faster, easier, with less control. So It makes it more responsive to rapid acceleration and changes in walking speed. So thereby helping patients walk faster, even quicker. And then, as I said, the adaptive speed control. It dynamically adapts that pneumatic control for a smooth, natural, and energy efficient swing. So it's, I always think of like changing gears in a car. As you start walking faster, it adapts and shifts into the next gear, helping patients walk faster with less energy. So 5 different speeds, and it changes depending on the cadence of their. So in summary, unique benefits, we have enhanced stability performance. We have controlled stance support. We have the dynamic slope and stair descent. So really providing that increased support going down stairs, going down steep slopes. We have standing support that it engages in full extension or in a flex position. And stumble recovery, that it's going to, if the D is caught during swing phase, it's going to increase resistance and continue to increase resistance until they get their sound leg in front of them, preventing a fall. And then supported sitting, once again, providing even more resistance as that lever arm increases as they sit into a chair, giving the optimal resistance to really shift the body weight more onto the prosthetic side and let the leg take the work versus the sound side leg. That yield rate, as I was just describing, we call it the yield rate, where the resistance increases as the knee flexes, and that can be adjusted. It's set up kind of automatically in the programming, but in fine-tune, you can adjust that to really tailor it for your patient and optimize it for them. And then during swing phase, we have that natural, efficient motion. Because of that pneumatic swing control, we have the hybrid cylinder of hydraulic and pneumatic working together to provide a optimal stance release, the adaptive speed control, and then decreasing the terminal impact as well. So providing very smooth, energy efficient gait. So that's our the KX07 and the Orion 3 knee. That covered our non-microprocessor feet, our non-hydraulic feet. I covered the hydraulic feet, the knees, and then our specialty waterproof products are the Aqualim. We have the both transtibial and transfemoral system for use in showers and wet environments. So these ones are designed where it's simple, easy to assemble. You've got full alignment, and then you actually have an anti-slip tread on the sole. So it's really designed for that shower use or just purely a water leg because of the materials that are used and having the grip on the bottom, so you can walk barefoot and still have that grip. And that is it. There is the quiz if you want to scan that.
Sorry, I was going to say thanks, Chad, for that. Yeah, as Chad mentioned, that is the quiz right there. If you want to scan that QR code, you can take the quiz. I'll also be sending it out because I know some people struggle with the QR codes with their phones, depending on where they are. If they're in the basement of a building or something, it's hard to get the QR code to work. So I'll be sending that out in an email later today or tomorrow if you can't get the QR code to work. But remember, you will have until July 8th to complete that quiz for the webinar. So please complete that, and we will be submitting the sign-in sheet to ABC on July 8th again. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you, Chad. If you have any last-minute questions, I've been watching the Q&A panel, and I haven't seen any questions pop up yet. So now's your chance. Ask away. You have anything to add, Chad?
No, I don't. Thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to this presentation. And just like Mike said, feel free to reach out. Happy to help answer any questions. Just want to run any ideas past me. Happy to do that. So feel free to reach out.
We'll leave this on for a couple more minutes and see if anybody has any additional questions. If you don't have any questions, you can feel free to hop off. I see one person raise their hand. I don't have the ability to turn that off. So if you can just type it in the question panel, there should be a Q&A panel. It's all about, if you have a question, feel free to ask it in the Q&A panel. Okay, so 7, he said, allows full extension. Not really sure what you mean by that. It does allow full extension through, up to till it's fully straight. It's got extension assist in the spring itself in the hydraulic cylinder, but then it's got extension dampening through the hydraulics to allow it to come to full extension. It can lock in full extension using the stirrup on the back of the cylinder itself. If that did not answer your question, feel free to reach out to me at mike.magee, M-A-G-E-E, at blatchfordus.com. You're welcome. It's all about. All right, well, it doesn't seem like there's any other questions. So again, anybody can reach out to me on my email or Chad's email. I'm happy to answer questions. But how do you order Aqualim? Somebody did ask there at the last second. And as a BMK2, so how do you order the Aqualim? You can just contact your Blatchford territory manager and they can get that on order for you. It does come in transtibial or transfemoral. Please note there is a difference in proximal adapters and it's got to be made into the socket. The way that the proximal adapter is fabricated needs to be accommodated in the socket. So just keep that in mind. But you can contact your Blatchford territory manager and they'll be happy to help. Is a BMK2 waterproof? It is not waterproof. That is our mechanical K2 knee, and it is not waterproof. Alvin, you can take the test again by, you can scan that QR code there, or I will be sending out via email the quiz to take. So you can either scan the QR code or click on the link when I email it out. For waterproof components, are they okay for extended chlorine use? That's not something we really recommend. Chlorine's pretty corrosive. However, if you were to wear it and rinse it, really, really good, as long as the mechanical, especially the Echelon, the Avalon, some mechanical waterproof, that would be more okay. The microprocessor stuff, chlorine's corrosive, so we want to be careful with it. But again, you could rinse it and it would probably be okay. But officially, it is a non-chlorinated usage. Okay, I think that was the last question. If you have any more questions, you can email me at mike.mcgee@blatchfordus.com or chad@chad.o'connor@blatchfordus.com. Thank you very much, and I look forward to joining our next webinar. That'll be next month, the third Thursday of the month. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.